Yes, it's another beautiful day in our neighborhood. I am Fred Wooden. I'm the interim minister to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation here in Chandler, Arizona. But we're not just in Chandler, Arizona. We are everywhere because we have people coming to us via Zoom and elsewhere, part of our community, which though you here in the room may not see them, they see you. And they're glad to be with you, and we are together. Like last week, this service is a little bit different from other ones, and it will also be a bit longer as we go behind the scenes in learning how we create a virtual and actual community at the same time. So be prepared to be here for a few extra minutes. It will be fun. It will be revealing. And so, as they say when you get on your airplane, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. You will see things you've never seen before. To help you, though, remember that this is a time of music and worship, not just a time of watching TV if you're at home or watching us on stage if you're here in the room. We do have music to share. The word is prelude, and it means before the play. So, before you play, bring your hearts and minds together with the music we offer this morning.
Please join me as we light our chalice today. And if you're at home on Zoom and you have a candle nearby or a chalice that you want to light, you're invited to light that now. So together we'll begin and say our opening words. We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice.
Good morning. I'm Katie Seifert, the Director of Music Ministries, and it is nice to be with you this morning. I created some videos to take you behind the scenes in my world. So let's start and have fun taking a peek behind my camera. Here's a behind look of how I make video. So first, this is my office. This is where I usually zoom in for Sunday services. And this is where I zoom in for our choir rehearsals on Zoom. And if I'm going to record a video, there's just not enough room for me to do it in my office. So I have to move all this equipment out into my living room. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, I got the keyboard and it's on its way out. No, honey, because we have to record, okay? You can go watch a movie in Mommy's room with Lucy. So as you can see, it takes some time to prepare to record the video. And now we're going to watch that video, and I invite you to sing along like we do all the time with the videos that I create. And I ask that if you're on Zoom to sing along. You can even move your body and dance along. If you just want to watch and listen and take the music in, that is fine too. And if you are in this sanctuary, for safety reasons, we ask that you limit yourself to a hum. So please join me and put a little love in your heart. And stick around because there'll be bloopers to follow. This is Put a Little Love in Your Heart. Helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see.
a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart now, yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart now. Put a little love in your heart. One more. Put a little love in your heart. It's gonna work, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
That's a wrap. In your heart, you see it's getting late. Oh, please don't hesitate. And see. Oh, Gavin, come over here. Don't do that, baby. Ah. Oh, you. This would be awesome. And what did you do?
Gavin play, and I was like, "There's nobody playing right here." Oh, good grief!
God, I still have access to that. Oh, Lordy. Okay, no more. No more. Stop. 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 Yep. Yep. Okay. Do it. What is that?
Oh, it's a piano.
Can you guys close the door too? Hey. Okay, take one.
I
Okay.
already messed up.
Take two. Open your heart. Dang it, we're almost
No,
done.
I messed up a couple times. So don't worry.
Excuse
about
me.
it. I can't see the lyrics at all.
I was wondering.
I was thinking.
You're like,
that
Take three.
Oh yeah.
Dang, our dog is panting.
Okay.
Take
Five.
five. Put a little love in your heart.
Okay.
Deep breath. Take six. This is put a little love in your heart. I totally just spaced out. Take eight.
I hear a crying kid and a dog.
Uh-oh.
What's
what
wrong?
happened?
You okay? You did? You had your head? Oh.
It's okay if Gavin comes out?
No?
No. Just close the door and leave Gavin inside.
Okay. Just take 9. This is put a little love in your heart. Do you think they heard that, Lucy?
I don't know. Take
Okay.
10.
It didn't feel like we were in
this is-
sync. Take 11. Your heart. How do we start? Let's
Let's look at each other so we know, okay?
I thought you putting your
Take
keys
12.
on the keyboard would be the sign. Put a little love and your heart.
Take 13.
One, two, three, go.
You didn't do your rap bap doo doo doo.
You want me to?
Nah. I mean, I love it when you do that, but
You do?
I don't know if I want to do the whole song again. That doesn't work.
I just want to apologize ahead of time. I didn't do anywhere near that well. That really set some standards for us. But it is time for our Time for All Ages. If you are out in Zoom land and you have any children, now's the time to bring them in front of the screen. Got a couple of pieces that we're going to work on today. First, we have an OWL graduation, Our Whole Lives, Human Sexuality. For our 10th and 11th graders, this is our final program for our youth, and it's designed to help the youth gain knowledge, life principles, and skills that they need to express their sexuality in life-enhancing ways. It provided a unique opportunity for the youth to get honest and helpful information about sexuality from the adults and from each other. We covered topics such as pregnancy, how to recognize unhealthy relationships, power and control, sexual decision-making, expressions of sexuality, and, I think most importantly, they got to make up the condom shopping trip that had been missed out when COVID closed early their last class. These youth have traveled through the VUU OWL program together and have built bonds of friendship and trust. We hope that these bonds will continue to nourish them in their adult lives. My co-facilitator, Ken St. John, will now come up and tell us who was in the program.
Good morning. All right, we have these great little certificates for recognition for our students in the OWL class, and I'm going to start with Katrina Sapaki, who isn't here today. Ryan Saar, number 2, is also not here today, but those are the only 2. Everyone else is here. Maya Pulliam. Conrad Miller Fabregas. Avali Knutson. Avery Miller Fabregas. And Ethan Gregory. All right. That's our class, plus Ryan and Katrina. It was small, but we made it. We got through the whole thing from start to finish. Woo. All right, let's go sit down.
So the book that I have for you today is titled The Great Realization. It's a celebration of the many things that have brought us together in this time of crisis. from simple acts of kindness to the creativity within all of us. This book captures with magical resonance the thoughts and feelings of millions worldwide as we adapt to a new way of life, cast aside our old habits, and reflect on what truly matters most. The author, Thomas Roberts, also known as Tomfoolery, gives us a very clever ending. And then afterwards, I have a little video for you about how we make the Time for All Ages videos. So let's start with our book. The Great Realization by Thomas Roberts. Tell me the one about the virus again, and then I'll go to bed. That one's my favorite. I promise, just once more. Take me back to 2020. That's all I'm asking for. Okay, snuggle down. The story starts before then. It's a world of waste and wonder, of poverty and plenty, back before we understood why hindsight's 2020. We'd always had our wants, but now we got them so quick. You could have anything you dreamed of in a day and with a click. We noticed families stopped talking. The work balance broke. The children's eyes grew squarer, and every toddler had a phone. They filtered out the imperfections, but amidst the noise, we felt alone. Every day, the skies grew thicker, till you couldn't see the stars. We'd drive around all day in circles. We'd forgotten how to run. We swapped the grass for tarmac, shrunk the parks till there were none. We filled the sea with plastic. Each day when you went fishing, you'd pull them out already wrapped. And while we drank and smoked and gambled, our leaders taught us why it's best not to upset the lobbies. But then, in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted, told us all to hide away. But while we were hidden, amidst the fear, we dusted off our instincts. We remembered how to smile. We started clapping to say thank you and calling our moms. The car keys gathered dust, and we looked forward to our runs. And with the skies less full of voyagers, the earth began to breathe, and the beaches bore new wildlife that scuttled off into the seas. Some people started dancing. Some were singing, some were baking. Good news was in the making. Excuse me. Old habits became extinct. I think we're one more. Every simple act of kindness was given its due. And so when we found the cure and were allowed to go outside, sorry, a little tickle there, we all preferred the world that we found to the one that we'd left behind. But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together? Sometimes you get sick before you start feeling better. We now call it the Great Realization. And that's why hindsight is 2020. Sorry. Excuse me. So we have a short video for you on the making of Time for All Ages.
I want to share with you the process that Haley and I go through to create our Time for All Ages presentations. This is how we told a story back in the days before Valley UU had projectors in the sanctuary. People who didn't come down front, like the adults, could hear the story, but they couldn't see the pictures. As we have learned new technology, and as the pandemic has forced us to isolate and then allowed us to come back slowly, we have changed our presentation style. My preferred mode is to have the pictures available on the screens in the sanctuary and on Zoom while reading the story from the sanctuary. We start by researching the sermon topic and asking how we can present this idea in a way that is understandable and enjoyable to all ages. We lean heavily into storybooks. This is Haley returning from the library with some of our options. We go through a lot of books before finding the right one. I read through all the books. I'm looking for a book that connects with the sermon topic, has eye-catching illustrations, and isn't too wordy, or, it can be artfully summarized. A chapter book may have all of the information we want, but we need to limit our presentation to around 5 minutes. I watch YouTube videos of authors or librarians reading the story. It gives us a good idea how long it takes to read the whole book and how the story can ebb and flow with presentation style. I highly recommend watching the video of today's author, Thomas Roberts, reading his poem. His younger siblings, who were his inspiration, are seen in the video. Search for it on YouTube using the British spelling of the word realization with an S instead of a Z. When we've chosen a book, I make digital scans of the pages and upload them onto PowerPoint, where I can edit them. This is the raw scan of the page. I clean up the edges, resize, trim, or rotate pictures, and remove the text that I don't expect you to try to read while the slide is up. Some pages take a bit more work. This is a 2-page spread with parts of the airplane on each page. On the left page, we have the tail of the plane, some text, and a wing of another plane. The page on the right has the bulk of the plane that we want to see, but there's also some text there. Piecing the 2 pages together requires some trimming to create the image of a plane all in one piece. I often create blocks and color match them to the background and then use those to cover the text on a page. This is what the finished page looks like when we have the presentation. In order for the person running tech to know when to change the PowerPoint slides, we make a slide-by-slide script for them to use, but also for us. This script was more complicated. The yellow lines were the slide animations that required an additional click during the presentation. Our goal is to have a seamless presentation for you, including all of the slides at the correct prompt. This doesn't always happen.
Good morning. I'm Noelle Hyman. I'm your worship associate today. And this is where I welcome you, and I feel like we're really deep into the service to be welcoming, but you are welcome, all of you, whether you're here in the sanctuary with us or whether you're at home on Zoom. And so I do want to welcome you, whether you're here for the first time or you've been coming to us for a while. Maybe you're here after a long break. Whether you're here in person or on Zoom, no matter what you believe, what you love, who you love. I lost my pages here. Oh, I'm missing a page. Okay, hold on one second. No, it's here. It's not here. You are welcome here. I found it. Okay. Just a few things to be aware of. If you're here for the first time, actually, is there anyone here for the first time? Can you stand up so we can welcome you? Oh, yay. Okay. Hi, a few of you. If you're on Zoom, and you can just leave a note in the chat, and then people will welcome you too. And you can say, I'm here for the first time. My name is blank. Okay, so a few things to be aware of. We have a baby comfort room if you need a little break. And if you need a listening ear during or after the service on Zoom, our lay pastoral care associate today is Randy Galbraith. And you can reach out to him in the chat. He's going to leave a little chat for you so that you can see it's him. And then here in the sanctuary, it's Janet Cantley. And Janet, would you please stand up? There she is. Great. And so she'll be standing over here to your right after the service for anybody who needs to chat. Both will also be on call during the week. Okay. So last week on Saturday, January 22nd, the world lost the beautiful and profoundly influential Vietnamese Zen Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. I wanted to share a little bit about him. He was a peace activist, a social activist. He's very much like VUUers, I think, and other UUers. He's known as the father of mindfulness. He laid the foundation for the use of mindfulness in psychology and therapy, which is really common now. And there's something called mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. One of his students is John Kabat-Zinn, who's also very well known for meditation and mindfulness, and he created what's called mindfulness-based stress reduction, and this is a program widely used around the world and in hospitals and medical centers. Thich Nhat Hanh was also a leader of the engaged Buddhist movement, and he coined that word, engaged Buddhism. A lot of people tend to think of Buddhism as a practice of non-action, but he was very much about taking action. He promoted an individual's role in creating change, and he restated the Buddhist 5 precepts from acts of refraining from things to positive action that one can commit to taking. So just an example would be refrain from stealing is the common way to say it, and he has said instead, prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. Martin Luther King and him worked together quite a bit, and so Martin Luther King nominated him for a Nobel Prize. Martin Luther King Jr. also accidentally, I'm not really sure why he did this, but he made a public announcement about his nomination, and apparently that disqualifies everything. They didn't choose somebody that year. So he may or may not have won the Nobel Prize had that not happened, I don't know. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote and published 130 books in 40 different languages, 100 of which are in English, so you might want to take a look at one of those books or 2 or 3 and read some of them. And in fact, there are 2 right now in the library. About a half hour ago, there were 3, but I'm taking one home with me. So if you're here in person and you want to go take one from the library and borrow it, please do, but I'm sure there are plenty to be purchased on Amazon as well. So Thich Nhat Hanh, beautiful person. I hope that you'll take some time to learn about him and maybe read some of his words. And you know, even though that he's lost now, we don't have him in person anymore. He's very influential, and so we have his words, his teachings, and his actions with us still today.
When I was a young boy, my father was the church treasurer, and after worship service would take the money and go into a little room right next to the sanctuary, that way, to count all the money and the coins, the bills. In contrast to the grand space we worshiped in, it was a closet with file cabinets, old orders of worship, extra hymn books, and even, yes, unclaimed human ashes. They were there almost permanently, as I recall. Every sanctuary has a place like that. Just go behind here sometime. And if you don't go there, you can go behind the pulpit, which looks never as much as grand in back as it does in front. In Michigan, when I'm coming to you on Zoom, I have my iPhone on a stick perched upon my grandson's high chair. How grand is that? My point, though, is that what we see is only part of the picture, the top of the iceberg beneath of which is all the human complexity, all the fuss and feathers. And what we're showing you today in this worship service is the stuff that you don't ordinarily see. How Katie puts together a music video which takes a lot longer than it looks, doesn't it? And how Marcy puts together A Time for All Ages, which is not just pictures of books, but cutting and pasting. And we're going to do the offering in just a moment, but you have to remember when you give, you're actually making the stuff behind the scenes work, so the stuff in front of the scenes is there for you when you need it. So, right now I need you to put that next slide that reminds people that if you're able in this room or out on Zoom, you can click You can text, you can email, you can telephone, you can send a message any way you want. You can even drop by the office. And while the usherettes and ushers go wandering through for the room here, we're going to see a little video about how our tech crew tries to make things happen and mostly succeeds on Sunday.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Bean. For those of you who don't know me, also known as Libby, and I am your tech supervisor here at VUU. And I'm coming to you just to kind of show you a behind-the-scenes look of what is involved in running tech and starting up tech and the equipment that we have. So let's get started. We have, as you can see here in the booth, we have 2 computers hooked up and a soundboard, and I want to show you that we have a huge nest of wires back here that are all involved in the setup here, some of which are connected to the computers, some of which are connected to snakes that go up through the ceiling to the projectors, the cameras, and the speakers. So we also have, with this computer here, this is our camera setup computer. And so as you can see down here underneath the booth, we have all kinds of supplies. But again, all kinds of wires that go in a million different directions. That's our modem. But one of the most important pieces of equipment we have here would be this strip right here that you see all kinds of wires attached to, and that is our what's called the Black Magic. It is a switcher, and boot that up, and this computer is what allows us to put Zoom up on the projectors without creating reverb, because it's on the same computer as the Easy Worship. And so we just recently got this working so that this computer can display up on the projectors. So there are specific steps that have to be followed in a specific order in order to make this all work properly. So once the computers come up, the first step is to open up VDesk, which is the camera software. Close that, open up what's called the ATEM software, which it's what controls the Black Magic down there underneath that computer. And as you can see, it's defaulted here to Cam 1. That's the one that no longer works. So in order to get something to show up from either the camera's VDesk computer or Easy Worship, this computer, we have to put it on camera 2, which is the Easy Worship computer here. Camera 3, which is the VDesk computer, and I will show you how that works. We have this one selected, the center, and then I click auto, and it now shows up on the cameras. If I need to be able to show something that's on this the Easy Worship computer, I switch to camera 2, and that's what you see. And then anything coming in from Zoom, which won't show, it'll show my desktop, that's camera 4. And that's not working. Why is that not working? So right now that is not working. Okay, so we're running into what is very likely one of the issues that we might run into on a Sunday morning trying to get started up for a service. So it is recognizing that there are 2 displays, but it is not seeing the display up there. So what I have to do is shut this computer down, because unplugging the HDMI cable didn't work. And like I said, there's a specific order. In order for Zoom and VDesk to not interfere with each other, VDesk has to be open first and Zoom gets open second. So we've now got the Zoom service running. And you can see that Zoom is seeing what's on the cameras. It's not seeing what's on the projectors right now because the projectors are not on that channel, but when I bring this to camera 3, now it's seeing what's on the cameras and the projectors match. We've got nothing else going into there now, that's why it was seeing the cameras. We also have to make sure when we do this that the mute and video on this computer are on. Otherwise we won't get any sound at all into the service. Then I have to turn on Zoom on this computer in order to bring the Zoom people back into the sanctuary. So now we need to bring Easy Worship into the system. And this software is what contains all the slides and videos for the services. So in order to put it up on the screen, we have, this is the schedule. This middle pane is what's within that particular presentation. It's the preview pane. And if I were to click on one of the slides in there and go live with it, it now brings up the section of the service that's currently live. In order for us to be able to see it up on the screen and then hear it, I have to put the switcher on camera 2, and you can now see that the Easy Worship is up there on the screen. There's no sound right now because I have not yet turned on these buttons on the soundboard, which bring up the sound, and you can now hear that that's coming through. So the last challenge we have is to get what's here in the sanctuary into Zoom, because as you can see, what Zoom is seeing is just the sanctuary. First of all, I need to put this computer to speaker view so that everybody can see the whole thing. And then this is what's going into Zoom, but I've still got it in the sanctuary. So I need to go to this camera. I need to select that in green so it's the next thing to come up. And I hit this auto button, and now we see it in Zoom. So then the last challenge is to get the Zoom screen up on the monitors for when Fred or somebody is there talking to us, they can be seen and heard on the monitors. Right now, what can be seen and heard on the monitors is just what Easy Worship is presenting and what's being piped into Zoom from here, but it does not have what's being pumped into Zoom from outside of here, bringing it into here. So that's what we have to do now. And I'm going to stop that video so that we... Okay, so I have not been able to fix that issue, so I'm going to have to get some help from a couple of our experts, namely probably Mike Anderson, to help me figure out how to get it to where I can change settings on this computer when it thinks that the display is the monitors and I can't control anything right now. So, perfect example of how things can go terribly wrong in an instant and have to be troubleshot before, in crunch time before a service. We try to avoid that by getting as much set up before the service. So I just wanted to... That's the end of the video. Whoops. That's the end of the video. Mike Anderson and I took hours yesterday to get that problem fixed.
Now is our time for centering. Okay, we'll just jump into it. One of our congregants, Adrian Benston, who is a retired professional flutist, has created this video for us. Now you got to see how much it takes to prepare the stage, get the right lighting, the right sound, how many takes it is. So Adrian, creating this video, also went through all of that. So let's appreciate the time and energy it takes to make this video and enjoy the music, because that's really the intention all along. So may the beautiful flute music of Adrian bless us right now as we center.
It takes a lot of work to stand still sometimes. It takes a lot of effort to be at a point where you don't need to take much effort. The prayerful moment here is designed to be a stopping place. Lao Tzu, the fabled father of the Taoist thought, observed that the wheel only serves a purpose when there's a hole in the middle. The jug may be made of ceramics, but the good it does is the hole in the middle. This is that spot in our worship, prayer, meditation, and silence, when we don't do things. It would not be possible if we had not done things. And it will be useless if we don't do more things. But we need this moment of not doing, not trying, not working. What Hebrew calls Shabbat, rest. We don't give it 24 hours, but maybe we can give it 24 seconds of just being. Shall we? Not enough, but perhaps enough to remind us to do it more. Katie, how would you like to bring our next piece of music in front of everyone?
Thank you for that moment of being, Fred. Well, now we're going to take a look at behind the scenes for choir, a virtual choir. And I realized after watching Marcy's video, I could have taken you even further behind the scenes of all the preparation it takes to find the right music, especially for our Zoom choir. It takes a particular set of music that can be easy enough to learn on Zoom and easy enough to put together in a video. There's also all of the stage setup and takes before I have a rehearsal. Many times I'll do a sound check, video check, and everything's smooth and come live for rehearsal, and there's tech issues that show up. This has been a huge learning curve to figure out how to do choir virtually. But it's been really fun and really moving at times as well. So I hope this next video gives you a behind the look of virtual choir. Ever wonder what it's like to attend a choir rehearsal on Zoom? Ever wonder what it takes to create a choir music video? I'm Katie Seifert, and with the help of Izzy Hyman, we're going to show you how. First, let's look at a choir Zoom rehearsal. We warm up our voice and do vocal exercises together. We learn our parts by following along with sheet music and vocal tracks.
Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches.
We also learn our parts by our music director playing them out on her piano so we can sing along. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh. We love to sing along to other music videos. And make sure to have time to connect. So how did that feel? That kind of helped Linda?
That's much better.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Good, good.
You make me cry. I mean,
Yeah.
we make me cry. doing it together.
Now let's learn what it takes to create a choir music video. This is a storyboard that I created to give to Izzy Hyman so that he knows how I want the music video created. This obviously is our title page, and notice at the top I include notes for Izzy in blue. For instance, here I'd like to have the credits fade in line by line. So start with the first line and then add the next. This is our grid, and I'd like to have the boxes come in at random, starting with people who are dancing the most, and I gave him some examples of people that I noticed that were dancing. This project was smaller, so this grid was pretty easy to build, but you can imagine with grids of 40 people that it takes some math. It's almost like a puzzle to put together. Then I give him different notes on how I'd like the grid to move, and each singer where I'd like them placed, when the lyrics show up, and what kind of background color I'd want. And so you can see, I just kind of walk him through how the video goes. To give it just some variety so it's not so boring, I moved the grid over here to the left, and then to the right, we highlighted pictures of our singers next to their Christmas trees. And so again, I'm just laying out for Izzy the order of the pictures, and when the lyrics to show up, when those pictures can be in sync rhythmically. And then we ended this video with a Christmas tree, and it was really fun to put the singers around and to find a Christmas tree pic and a star picture on the top. And that's basically it. I wanted the choir to fade away by random after they were done singing, making sure to leave the star last. And then these are our credits.
Hey there, it's Izzy here. Several of you have recorded videos of yourself singing and then submitted them for the video choir projects that we've been working on. Have you ever wondered what happens after you submit the video? Well, here are some of the main things to know. First of all, a video choir project is actually two different projects in one. It's an audio project because we want it to sound really good, so we do a lot of work with the audio. And it's also a video project because of all the visuals that go with the audio, with the singing. So first of all, let's briefly talk about the audio. When it comes to audio, one of the challenges that we run into is that even though we have everybody clap at the beginning of their videos and we sync up the audio according to their claps, it's not perfect, it's not precise. And in a particularly difficult part of a song like this that I'm about to play for you, where the timing is changing, not everybody's in the same room singing together, so they can't hear each other, and so the timing ends up being a little bit different. Let's take a listen so you can hear. This is what it sounds like when we sync things up just according to the claps. I'll just hit the space bar, and you can hear what this sounds like. Here we go.
Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches.
You can hear that it's close, but it's not perfectly in sync. So one of the things that I do is I go into individual voices, and if I need to change the timing of something, that is one of the powerful things that software allows us to do. And so for example, let's say that there's this consonant here and it's just a little bit later than what everybody else sings. And so that consonant just stands out. It's not lined up perfectly with everybody else. So what I can do is I can go like this and add a line there that kind of anchors it. And I can add a line over here, for example. Then I can add a line here. And let's say I just want to make this a little bit earlier in time. I can just click and drag and move that consonant. And if I want to have this one be a little bit later, I can move that. And so I can actually change the position in time of the individual syllables that people are singing. And then by doing that, by going one voice by one voice through the whole thing, then what happens is I can go in and make it sound a little cleaner. So let's take a listen to after. So this is after I've gone into the voices. I've done some cleaning up so that the syllables are a little bit closer together. And of course, it's not perfect, but it does sound a little bit more in sync. Let's take a listen.
Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches.
So they sound closer together as if they're singing in the same room. the video portion actually isn't as challenging as the audio. Really, it's just a matter of taking the different video clips and putting them inside of grids that we build. And so, for example, here I have a video clip. I'll put it inside this group so it's behind the grid. And then let's just reposition this. I'll move it over and let's shrink it down. I'll scale her down so she fits a little bit better inside that square. Maybe something like this. And then I have to crop it like that. And then once I have everybody's faces in place, then I like to change the color of the grid so that it's not such an obvious color, maybe something like black, something like that. And so now you can see I have a grid, so it's just a matter of rendering this out and then using it in a larger video project. Hopefully that gives you a little peek behind the scenes so that you can see the kinds of things that we do as we work on these video choir projects.
I'll never trust a video I see again. And Izzy, if you're listening, can you make me sound like Luciano Pavarotti? Thank you very much. I told you we'd go long today, but I hope you've enjoyed seeing what you've seen so far, if only because you get a sense of the depth and complexity of even a simple service. My job is the easiest one of all, because after all, you don't know and I'm making a mistake, because as far as you know, this is exactly what I intended to say. I make mistakes all the time. In fact, I'm glad I make mistakes, because being imperfect is one of the great blessings of being human. Because that means every imperfection adds a little color to an otherwise bland day. I'm going to shorten my remarks because I know we've gone long, but not too much. When I first started in this work 42 years ago, and I had my first church in a little bitty town in a tiny church in remote rural Massachusetts. When I would get up on Sunday morning, I'd make my coffee, I'd look at my sermon and write all over it. This is before there were, well, I had an electric typewriter and I thought I was exceedingly up to date. And I would turn on our television, which in those days, being where we were, we got only stuff that came through the air, remember? And you had an antenna and you had to catch it. And you'd move the antenna around to try. And the only channel I could get on Sunday at that hour had televangelists. But I had one of my favorites, Jimmy Swaggart. Oh, I love Jimmy Swaggart because he played gospel piano, and he's really good. And he'd sit down at the piano and he'd fire up the congregation. He'd be barreling along and the sweat would be pouring off his brow, and he'd reach in his pocket and drag out a great big handkerchief, the kind Luciano Pavarotti might have, and wipe his brow. Then he'd get up and he'd start praying those fervent Pentecostal prayers, lots of Bible stuff and occasional bits of glossolalia, and the crowd would go wild. And after that, he'd say, now I'm going to preach. And it was nothing like what I did. It was nothing like my church I served. And I frankly was a little bit jealous. Now, before there were TV preachers, there were radio preachers. Preachers have been trying to get the news out forever. And I'm not sure we've ever been very good at that as UUs. We, in some ways, hide. I remember interviewing for a church in Vermont, lovely place, set on a hill in the woods, and the sign on the road was about 1 foot off the ground, about a foot tall, and just had a flaming chalice. The only way you'd know you were there is if you already knew where you were going. It's almost as though we were saying, we want you to come, but you have to be smart enough to find us to be okay. Most of us preachers would love to get the word out because we have something to say. So I listened to Jimmy and I watched Robert Schuller and even checked out a couple of the other fellas. Well, guess what, people? You're now in the televangelist business. Every congregation is. because COVID has forced us to recognize that we cannot depend on nature allowing people to find us. We got to go to them. It's almost 2 years ago now. Can you believe it's been almost 2 years when you closed your doors and you went onto Zoom, and that's how we did everything everywhere. Not you, not just you, but every congregation. A few months later, we came back into the sanctuary, but we learned something on the way back. We could not leave the internet behind. One of the things I heard from so many of our congregants out there in Zoom land was that that's where they want to be. They live too far away to come down. I have health issues, said one. Other people have other limitations. And so the irony is that while you weren't trying to open your doors to the world, you did. People who can't get here for health reasons, people who can't get here because they live in a different state or a time zone, suddenly found out they could be here. But now, with the room open again, what do we do with the Zoom? Is it the room versus the Zoom? No, it has to be both. And one of the things you've learned today is that when we try to do both, it's a lot harder than doing either one, because we are trying to be present to everyone wherever they are. Next month, I'm going to talk about the secret life of ministers. I'm going to do that because you're going to be looking at a new minister in a few weeks, and I want you to know about their humanness as well as their ministerialness. But I'm going to give you a foretaste. Among us clergy, when we get together, we frequently resort to an image from the old Ed Sullivan show, and if you're less than 50, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It was a variety show, essentially vaudeville that was translated into television, and there would be singers and dancers and comedians and novelty acts. And one of them was a person who would come out, maybe two, and they would start plates spinning on tall sticks, and as long as they were spinning, they wouldn't fall off the stick. You remember seeing that, any of you? And the idea was, how many plates could this person get going? They get one and then two, but they'd have to go back, because as soon as it began to slow, it started to do this kind of thing, and the idea was to keep it going. And now you know what it's like to be a minister. Because we got to preach, and we got to pray, and we got to study, and we got to lead, and we got a pastoral call, we got to teach, we got to run the staff, we have to keep an eye on the budget, an eye on the building, an eye on you, and an eye on ourselves. We do spiritual direction. We do social justice. We belong in the community. And then COVID forced us to do all of those things and learn Zoom, PowerPoint, video editing, and how to be a pastor to people you can't touch. Can you hear the plates falling? A lot of us did drop a bunch of plates. In fact, there is a considerable effort to recognize that most clergy have felt the stress of COVID in ways that they did not anticipate. And fully a third of clergy in America have contemplated resigning or leaving the business altogether. And now, when we come back into the sanctuary, we have to do all the things we did before and all the things we learned then. This was because none of us, almost all churches, not just VUU, now have to be Jimmy Swaggart and Robert Schuller and Andy and Christine and all the women and men who have served you. But combining that has been a challenge. No one has done it this way before. Oh, you can do TV ministry, tune in, watch, but actually do it the way where you can be present, knowing that there are faces out there watching and that they're commenting and probably chatting about this sermon right now. And the reality is no one knows how to do it because no one has had to do it before. I should quote Einstein here, who was accused at one point of just making it up. And he said, well, if we knew what we were doing, we wouldn't call it research, would we? We are researching a world that has never existed. To be not only virtual and actual, but to be that at the same time, equally, equitably, completely. And as you've observed from listening to what our staff has done, it takes a mountain of work, and sometimes it doesn't work. We are on unknown ground, as is everyone else. And in some ways, as Thomas Edison went through thousands of filaments before he found the one that would work in a light bulb, we've tried it I don't know how many ways. And yes, we've asked other people how they're doing it. We have talked to our neighbors and friends. We have Zoomed with a neighboring church. We read the websites, the platforms, and the blogs. We have also endured all the calamities everyone else has had. Plates have been falling for weeks. Words, videos without sound, videos that stop in the middle, things out of order, slides in the wrong place, echoes, reverberations, visuals that we don't know what to do with, microphones that start. Well, it may seem that we are sloppy and inept. The reality is we're doing research. We're finding our way into a world without a path that does not yet exist, but is coming into existence. So why do we do it? Why don't we just stay on Zoom until we can get it just right? Well, because you can't wait to do it right. You have to do it until you do it right. There is no formula. And I can also say there are other reasons. Because staying virtual is not enough. You who are here in the sanctuary are here because that matters to you. And we must serve you as who you are, not the way we want you to be. And you who are on Zoom, who want to be there, we want to be there for you as you want to be. We all know that it's less satisfying in many ways to be at home, and more satisfying in others. You're drinking coffee in your PJs, and we can't. But the spiritual cost-benefit analysis of staying on Zoom until we get it right is just not worth it. We have to be both. We have to do it now. We have to do this because religion is about actual people in actual community. We have to share lives, not just screens. I preached on the necessity of a three-dimensional faith last fall. We have to be in our bodies, not just our minds. And you don't know a body is a body until you see them with your actual eyes. We cannot be solely a two-dimensional church. We do this because even some of those actual people cannot be with us, and I've mentioned them before. And this has been a salvation for them. I talked to one member months ago. She said, I'm sorry you can't be in the sanctuary, but this is the first time I've been able to go to church. So if we were to stop the video and the Zoom, we would be closing that door to that person and everyone like them. Are we ready to turn away those who can't be there? How hospitable are we? COVID has forced all of us to adapt sooner and faster than expected, but we knew this was coming. Anyone who's been watching the culture knew we would be going this way. You were already doing the visuals. I know you hated it when it started, but you won't go back. This was the direction we had to go. And we have moved ahead, stumbling and occasionally falling. But I want to remind you of a great book I read 20-some years ago when I had a tough time. A colleague gave it to me, and it's called Failing Forward. And the principle was, you're going to fall down anyway. Fall in the direction you're going. Don't go back. If you're going to fall down, fall in the direction you want to go. And we have. We've fallen over and over again. But we have fallen in the direction we need to go, toward a worship where digital and actual are equally present, equally valid, equally valued, and equally participating. Katie is talking to you right now, not just on video. And I will do it when I'm back in Michigan. And I will be here in this room virtually, but I will be as alive as you are when you are here. We want that to go on forever. And since no one has done it before, and believe me, we have been looking for people who have, We have to find our way by stumbling through it. I can tell you the following things are true. Where we are going is where you're going to be for years. So in some ways, let's hurry, but in other ways, don't worry, we'll get there. There's no other path to take. It will require new equipment because we are not equipped to do this because no one was. I've been saying this. If you've been reading the happenings, you know I've told you. It will cost money. How much? Between $30,000 and $60,000. But if we do it right, it will last for years. It will require capable and dependable staffing. When I arrived, it was done all by volunteers who must be loved and cherished and celebrated. But every congregation I know that's doing this seriously is paying at least one, if not more people, to not only know the stuff, but to employ it and put it together. Libby back there is trying to monitor 3 computers and a soundboard, and that's why she needs more than Libby to do that job week in and week out. How much will that cost? $25,000 a year or more, year in and year out. Now, I haven't given you much inspiration this morning, no great poetry, no deep thoughts, because this is a very practical place we are. But it is a plea to be patient. And I know patience is hard when you're running out of it with almost everything. To be forgiving when you at home in your Zoom places wonder what's happening here. Believe me, we don't know any more than you do. I want you on Sunday to be generous. Yes, with your money, but with your kindness. I want you to gin up your courage if you can. A little further, because just when you think we're done with COVID, it comes back, and just when you think we've mastered this kind of worship, we haven't. And so I'm going to remind you of part of your sacred story and your ancestors who've been in this kind of a place before. Back on Warner Road in a building that you built back in the 1980s. Very soon it had to be expanded. Am I right? Who was there that can remember that suddenly there were too many people and you were suddenly having to expand and you had to spend more money and take out another loan, and how could you afford it? But could you afford to turn people away? So you took the financial risk, you added to your indebtedness, and when that became a threat, the story I heard was you held what we clergy call a miracle Sunday. That's when you sit everybody down and say, all the money to pay for this building is in this room. The trouble is it's still in your pockets. And in one day, they got promises to pay off that debt. It was hard, but it was done. This is easier by comparison. And the reason you did it then is the reason you need to do it now, to make room for those who are asking to come in, but they're coming in through Zoom. They're coming in through websites. They're coming in through email, and we need to be present to them as much as we are to everyone in this room. Every religion affirms the law of hospitality, that when a stranger knocks, you let them in and you take care of them. We talk of ourselves as a faith of radical hospitality. You are welcome here, except that we turned off the Zoom today. No. We need to be open everywhere, all the time. You open this place as a shelter for the homeless 24/7 for months. We need to keep that feeling, that commitment for the future everywhere, to be accessible to anyone on a Sunday, fully and equally. And the good news is we are closer to it than many other congregations. Don't turn back because we dropped the ball a few times or the video didn't work. You're bigger than that, and I know you are. So dust yourself off, rub your bruises, get up and keep going. How many of you, I know there are a few in this room, have a Mormon ancestry? That includes me, by the way. You've all heard the story of the Mormon Trail. I've been on the Mormon Trail. I've walked across the Mormon Trail where my thrice great-grandfather walked. And I said to myself, would I have the courage to do that? And I told myself, well, if he could, I have no excuse if I'm asked to do so. You're on this trail. You have no choice. You cannot turn back, but you can do it. The sad news is I won't be there when you get there. My path will diverge from yours in a few weeks. When the hot weather comes, I'm on my way out of here. But I know you're going to get there. I hope someone tells me when you finally get it all done and you are the pride of Chandler, Tempe, Mesa, and Phoenix, that your AV worship is the best in the land, because it's pretty damn good, I got to tell you. And I want to know about that. And who knows? Someone on Zoom might look in the corner of one of their screens and see me peeking at you and being proud of having been with you on the way. Thank you. Katie, we need more music. Let's get the hell out of here.
Wow. Thank you, Reverend Fred. Yeah. All right. My goodness. Well, I must admit that this week was the first time I ever edited a video or put together a video. And that's something I never thought I could do. In fact, these times have brought on a lot of new skills for all of us, hasn't it? I want to take a moment to thank every choir singer that also put the time into figuring out how to do virtual music. I am so blessed by the fact that all of you have joined this virtual journey with me, with us in this community. So although things are changing, we're learning new skills, this is still our home, our beautiful blue boat home. So we're going to close the service out with our beloved hymn, Blue Boat Home. This video was recorded by the Teakwoods Mini Choir, who just had to get together and sing. I want to point out behind the scenes in this video that this was recorded in Linda Horton's house. And if you look behind the singers, there is a carved boat that Linda Horton's father made when he was a teenager. So that's a fun little fact to look out for as we sing along to Blue Boat Home.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat direction I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Some of my favorite words of the great writer W.E.B. Du Bois, who wrote, "Now is the accepted time, not tomorrow, not some more convenient season. It is today that our best work is done, not some future day. It is today that we fit ourselves for the greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time, now the hours of work. Tomorrow comes the harvest and the playtime." We have work to do, comrades, but it's good work. The work upon which one can look back with gladness and pride and say, truly, we did our best. I now invite my colleague in ministry, Noel, to help us extinguish the chalice.
Please help us end this beautiful service, which I really enjoyed, by extinguishing the chalice together, and we'll end with our concluding words. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again. Thank you so much. Those of you who are on Zoom, we do still have our breakout rooms that you can join now. So if you don't want to join a breakout room, you'll just want to exit out pretty quickly here. You'll get an invitation as you stay to join a breakout room, and then you can accept the invitation and have a little social time with a few other VU viewers. Thank you so much.
I don't know how, what the scope of my voice is right now. Am I going to get rebroadcast throughout the sanctuary?
Can you all unmute yourselves or no?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
unmute myself.
good. No,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if just us hosts can.
Well, I hope that's not true. I opened up the breakout rooms. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You got it.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Jim. There we go.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
I didn't realize that was happening. Was that happening in the breakout rooms too?
No.
Oh,
No,
it was fine in the
no,
breakout
no.
rooms.
Okay.
Jim,
and
you
it's-
were all powerful.
Oh my god. I share power though. I'm a co-host. I'm not one of those evil villains that don't share power like Sauron.
Sauron. Oh, cow.
No, just because that
Katie, I
line was
hope
in the
your
movie.
ears are
Sauron
running
does
in a
not
good
share
way.
power.
Katie, loved your presentation. Absolutely loved
Oh,
Yeah, that was
good.
Giggling and laughing.
Yes. It was fun.
We have to be able to laugh a little bit about all of our technical stuff, right? Otherwise,
Right.
we'll go mad.
Now, is 15 takes typical?
Yes. It's
Yeah.
funny
Oh
too
my
because
God.
I was like, gosh, we talked about in our staff how we should show some bloopers, and I'm like, well, I wonder if we'll have bloopers. And I was like, of course we do. I had so many. I was like, such a reminder of how much it takes, and it just happened that our sitter is sick with COVID. So it was like when the lockdown happened and we didn't have a sitter for a good over a year. So it was a good reminder of, oh yeah, all that, they can only stay in their bedroom for so long.
I
love the fact that you were laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so funny that Gavin kept turning off the power.
That happened probably close to 10 times too. And eventually we're like, he just needs to be in the room. We try to keep him out as long as possible. And then when it's time to seriously record, we put him away. And so it was hard to juggle him while we were sound checking.
Duct tape works.
It's almost a little shocking to see how much he's grown. It's like,
I
wow.
bet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I bet.
You see him every day,
Last
but
time he wasn't scampering.
I thought about that. Yeah. Yeah. Because he was just a little tiny one when I was on Zoom more often in the past.
Well, yeah,
We were
even before
saying
he was
in
born.
our breakout group that it was so fascinating watching how the Zoom choir stuff gets lined up. That was a really interesting.
That was
thing.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yes. And that he does that with every voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a lot of work.
I know. We'll go back and forth on editing for several hours.
And Izzy does some very large scale videos, like the one he did a couple of years ago for GA.
Like 100
51
singers.
voices or something.
Yeah.
And each one of them takes time to do and has to be adjusted in relation to the other ones. It's monumental
amazing.
work.
Wow.
It is.
I remember singing the end of that Christmas tree song, and that's where the retard was not, you couldn't keep a beat because everybody's going to do it their own way. So it inevitably was not going to line up. So it was amazing.
Yeah.
Totally amazing.
Really.
Katie, everybody loved your bloopers. I thought they were absolutely hilarious.
Oh, good. Andrew and I think we're funny, but I was like, I don't know if anyone else will think this is funny.
You are funny. Oh no, people in the sanctuary were cracking up.
Good, good.
Cool.
And Libby, thank you for all you do. That's just such a
Right.
complex
Libby and
setup.
Jim, thank you.
I
Yeah.
don't know how you do
yeah.
it. That
That's
was
crazy.
amazing.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. It's actually, and that video actually was more than 20 minutes long. I had to cut it down a lot.
Sure.
Yeah. But I enjoy doing it.
It's amazing. I think that you were, you came to VUU and you got the position because of your singing voice, but your sense of humor and your sense of being there with people and your attitude. I mean, it's hard to put that down on your qualifications, but it's there. It's so important. It's so important.
Wow, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So anyway, I must leave because I have I have a memorial service for my sister-in-law on Zoom at 1 o'clock, and I got to get ready for that. So
See you all.
anyway,
Yeah.
see you.
Take care, Irene.
Nice to see you, Irene.
Good to see you, Irene.
How's Vince?
He is better. We went to acupuncture. Did you know that? About 2 months ago.
Yeah, you
And he
told
was
us.
just down, down, down. And now he's just kind of, he's still not taking part because in the course of strokes, I think he lost a lot of his memory, but still, acupuncture, that was a help. You just
Wow.
can't
Wonderful.
imagine. Oh, yeah, because the medical things that they gave him only made him sleep all day. Now he's with us, and some of his humor has come back. I mean, it's just
Oh,
amazing.
great.
Yeah, SCNM, I totally recommend it. Even if you don't have critical problems like that. But that's on Broadway near 101.
Oh, the Southwest College of Naturopathic
Yeah,
Medicine?
right.
I've gotten some amazing stuff done from them too.
It is so good. Just and I'm getting help from it too, because I moved boxes getting out here, and then I thought it was so strong. And then out here, I was moving things. Oh my God, my shoulder was just painful all day long. So now I'm getting help there for that too. It is just amazing. I don't know what we'd do without it, frankly.
Yeah.
We'd be in bad shape. Okay.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you for asking, Bert. You are so sweet to ask about him all the time. You really are.
I've thought about you guys a lot and haven't heard anything from you, and I hadn't emailed you. So.
I know. We just got to get together. We don't just have to wait till Sunday.
We'll do that one of these days.
Okay, we shall. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we love that.
Bye. Bert, I love your hair.
Thank you.
Did you get a new haircut or?
I can't grow it, so I bought it. It's a wig.
Oh my gosh. Well, it looks great.
Thank you. I was tired of half an inch of hair all over.
Yeah.
Can I borrow it sometime just to see?
Yeah,
sure. Sure. I won't even make you pay for it, Carl. You can just borrow it sometime.
That is
Halloween will
community.
be here in a few months. Oh, isn't Fred wonderful? We have been so lucky to have him for this time in this transition has been so difficult. And don't you imagine that many of us have thought, how are we ever going to find a minister? Look at the shape we're in.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the third ministerial search I've seen in this congregation. And every time you look at it like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, oh no. And we pull through.
I wish we could keep Reverend Fred. I think he's fantastic. And I want to just say thank you to every single person that put this service together today. I had no comprehension of what it takes, and I just don't have the background at all. So it was just such a learning experience for me today to see how you do all of this. And Libby is absolutely fantastic, and so is Jim, and so is Katie. And it's just thank you to all of you.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Thank you, Pat.
That is sweet.
I can't take any credit for anything today. I didn't really do anything today. So,
But you have helped us get here, Jim. You were groundbreaking when we were trying to figure this out. You were a big part of that day-to-day tech person that we could rely on.
And without fail, you're there every Sunday to back me up if I need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't
And they're
needed it in
troubleshooting.
it's been good.
Do a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can always count on him to be there to back me up. In fact, if something had gone wrong, there wouldn't have been anything for him to back me up with, because I was creating the service in Easy Worship until midnight last night.
Oh, geez.
So I did not get a chance to put together the PDF slides that I usually put together for him.
Oh.
How much earlier do you go in on Sunday?
I come in, well, this
it's
morning
Saturday,
because I
too.
did, I had everything loaded into Easy Worship and I ran through it before I left and everything, which is usually what I do Sunday morning is I transfer the file from the laptop to the Easy Worship computer. And I have to change some formats and stuff on the slides sometimes. So when I have to do that, I get here about 8.
Wow.
Or 9 o'clock rehearsal.
But she's there Saturdays, Fridays,
Yeah.
sometimes
Oh,
even more
wow.
during the week if there's tech
Wow.
issues that arise.
Yeah, I was here from 11 to 1 yesterday with Mike Anderson fixing the issue of being able to put Zoom up on the screen. And then I went to work at Amazon from 1 to 5. I was scheduled to work until 6:20, but I took some personal time and got off early so that I could not be here till 2 in the morning. And then I came back here and did everything I needed to do to edit my video, put it together, and create the service in Easy Worship. And I was here till midnight.
Oh my gosh.
It was a long day yesterday.
Wow. Do we pay you overtime, Libby?
I get paid for the hours that I do, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Very good. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and Katie and I work together on stuff sometimes, and we had a meeting between Katie and I and Fred talking to UUCP about their setup and stuff like that. So, you know, we're working on getting all the knowledge we can about what we need to make things easier and better.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is there a local school that does training for this? And are you connected with that? I'm wondering if they would have some students who could help out.
Yeah, that's a goal we have, is to bring some interns in and maybe even hire someone to come and help Libby, because as you can see, there's just so much she's juggling.
Right, and they're probably connected with their local alumni too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We have a contact that is a teacher at that school that has a lot of interns.
Good.
Right now, where a lot of the time is going into spending time with the professionals and understanding the type of equipment we need.
Sure.
Because there's a variety of routes we can take. And so it's like, which one's going to be the most reliable, user friendly? We have to think about cost. And you know that saying, like, out of 3, where it's fast, easy, and cheap, you can only have 2.
Yeah.
So,
right. And I imagine there are a lot of new technologies and new companies that have come out since the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another thing, is that, you know, you have to look at it on the one hand like an upfront capital expenditure, because it is, because you got to buy a lot of stuff up front. But because of the nature of it, it just like everything is on a 3 to 5 year replacement cycle, because you know, either it's old and breaks, but more likely it becomes obsolete, or a lot of stuff with everything else that's in place. So there's an annual, I mean, there's a labor cost annually, and there's going to be an upkeep of hardware cost annually that we have to consider that to be part of the whole package.
Yeah, in fact, one of the parts that I had to clip out of my video because it was too long was where I mentioned the fact that this soundboard that we are using is circa 1995.
Yeah.
It is an analog soundboard that is not made to do digital stuff. So,
and we got it used.
Well,
so it's very
and
old.
having worked with that soundboard, even if we were to want to keep that going forward, we would have to hire a professional to kind of take it apart and clean it, because you know some of the sliders, they're a little bit scrapey, or you know, like you get little audio artifacts from turning a knob, and all of a sudden and you get all these sounds, just because it's not new, even if it were appropriate for what we're doing, which it isn't really.
It's not anymore.
No.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not even entirely stereo.
We always wondered what those, you know, electronic spurts of sound were.
Yep, they're interference, reverberation, and stuff from either microphones pointing at the speakers or Easy Worship, Zoom and Easy Worship not playing nice with each other, or VDesk and Easy Worship or Zoom not playing nice with each other. And it's, you know, sometimes when we have some small thing go wrong, like I said at the end of my video today, it can take 2, 3, 4 hours to get it fixed. Just because it could be in a million different places.
I can't imagine just checking all those wires.
And they're all the same color. They
Yeah.
all look black.
Yeah.
They all
There
label
are
it a
some
little
color
better.
guys
They have different colors.
It's almost like, you know, the difference between if you hire a contractor to do something in your house versus a do-it-yourself project. That's basically the equipment where it's been do-it-yourself done over years by different people. And so it will be night and day to have a professional design it, install it, and train us on how to do it. And those wires will be color coded. I mean, just that'll be the difference.
Maybe even fewer of them.
What's that?
I said maybe even fewer of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's kind of funny because there, if you really peel back the layers in that building, there's infrastructure from the previous owners. You know, there's like all these little microphone jacks and everything right there in the stage up front that we don't use because they go to a thing in the back in the sacristy, which, you know.
Yeah, Mike was showing me that the other day.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, it's kind of like archaeology. There's layers upon layers upon layers.
And there's a whole stack of equipment back there that's not in use.
Yeah.
Because
you know,
there's a soundboard back there that's even older than this one.
I know.
Right. Which is even more out of step with what we would want to do with it, even if it functions.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was first hired on, I remember being like, Andy, what is up with the sound system? And he was like, you know, we're going to have a new building. And so that, I think, was the thought process for a long time as things became more technical is, well, if we're going to build a new building, we'll have a whole new sound system.
Right.
So now that has changed, that's where we're now realizing how can we change the space we have. And now it's time to make those upgrades that we didn't think we'd have to do. We thought we could just build a new system. So,
Well, the other thing is that, I mean, you know, the fact is that it's got to be not just a sanctuary, it's got to be in a sense a studio.
Right.
So there's, yeah, it's
a lot of demands on that space with iHelp in there. So we've gone with the option of cheap and basically taken out fast.
Right. Well, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but here in the sanctuary today, we only had one screen up front.
Really?
And yeah, and that's seems to be because we had a power outage here yesterday morning.
Right.
And we are pretty sure that what happened was it took out the fuse. But there is scaffolding that has to be pulled out and put together so that we can get up to the projector. And there was no way we were going to be able to do that between yesterday afternoon and this morning.
no, it takes over half an hour to put together.
Yeah. So we had to live with just one projector today.
Now,
That's
was
a
it the
blessing
brighter
of
one
having
or the
two
dimmer
then.
one?
Right. Right.
Was it the brighter one or the dimmer one?
Fortunately, it was the dimmer one
Dimmer
that went
one.
out. Yeah.
Maybe it just, maybe it finally dimmed out too.
Right. Well, no, because Mike went over there and was looking at it and there's no lights on it or anything. It's not functioning. It's got no power to it and it's probably a fuse.
I just want to point out, in case anybody missed it, Mike Anderson also, you know, who frequently doesn't quite get mentioned, but he is a real asset.
I mentioned him in the video.
Oh yeah, I know, but I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to say it again because
Yeah. He is a real asset. And when the issue that I was having the other day on a Thursday or Friday, whenever I was filming the video, was a reasonably simple one, except that in the process of trying to fix it, I clicked on a drop-down menu to change something in the display settings. And I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing, telling the monitors to show only on 2, which is the projector. which means it went black and I lost my my display setting controls because they weren't showing up there because my laptop wasn't going up there, and it wasn't on the laptop screen because I told it to be just on the projector.
So
And
this
it
was
took us
what,
2 hours yesterday to fix that.
this was what was
Oh,
going on when you were filming that video?
Yeah,
So now you know the rest of the story.
right.
Jeez, Libby. Well, thanks, Libby.
But we got it fixed before today and everything worked really well today. I was very
Everything went
Yeah.
really smooth today.
Yeah. Just the one little glitch when I got, because I went over and talked on the microphone and then I had to find the next slide. So, but
That's okay. I figured that's what you were doing. So I just
Yeah.
started talking.
well, and towards the end of the service, Mark Foote had someplace that he had to be at noon. And so
shoot.
he left before the end of the sermon. So the switching to Blue Boat Home, to you, and then to Fred again for the final words, and then and all that stuff. I was walking back and forth controlling 3 computers
Oh my gosh.
because Mark had to go.
Well, you did a great job. It was smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, I've figured out pretty much the order in which I can do things and set thing in. Now, since I've got Zoom and Easy Worship on 2 different computers, I can set up the next thing coming up on Easy Worship without it affecting Zoom. So I can do that and have it ready. Whereas when we didn't have the laptop functioning, so we had to have Zoom on the Easy Worship computer, I couldn't do that. So there was a lot more lag between things because of just, I couldn't set up the next thing because it would have interfered with Fred talking.
Yeah.
Well, I have to get going.
Yeah, me too.
Nice chatting with you all.
Everybody have a good
Thank
week.
you.
See you all.
Thanks for all you do, folks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Be
Bye.
safe. Wear your
Take
mask.
care.
Don't get sick.
Not planning on
Like
it.
Corona.
Bye.